So last week we got an update boosting some PVE abilities for the scout, or basically for the longbow. So the first one was decisive sniping. It was increasing from 80 or 85% to 110% extra damage against monsters. Then we got brutal arrow, getting this extra 40% damage to oppress targets. That is basically against bosses, because bosses are the ones that get oppressed. And then we got the most important one, steady aim, now boosting the critical damage by 20% against oppressed targets. That is against bosses as well. So basically, I have been testing for a few days whether these changes should impact my PvE build or not, and basically what I have determined is that they are not really impacting that much beside the steady aim. I mean, the steady aim is a must. You now need to use that. That's why now I have added that to my passive. And now I'm using a snaring arrow. I had to find room for it. I decided to remove healing touch. I had healing touch here and weak point shot here, and I decided to use a snaring arrow here, move weak point shot here, and just remove healing touch from my skill bar for bosses. Okay. Another thing you need to do is you have to use this mastery, because it's also applying oppress. But notice this has a 20% a 20-second cooldown. So if you want to min-max everything, you will be just attacking, paying attention to the mastery, and when the mastery run off, you start using a snaring arrow. I don't care about that. I'm just spamming snaring arrow as soon as it's ready, because the critical damage from steady aim doesn't have any cooldown. Okay, so that's why I'm just spamming snaring arrow all the time. So this is the first thing. Now, the change to decisive sniping, is it worth it or not? As I said in previous videos, I don't know why, but for me as a scout, I cannot find room for decisive sniping, and that's why this is my skill bar. I have tried to fit decisive sniping here. For example, I have this skill bar over here using decisive sniping. I was using this for trying things in Gate of Infinity, and it's not working for me. I don't know why, but for me it's better to just don't have decisive sniping and just spam this 3 skill along with brutal arrow. Just this combination of the 3 and brutal arrow is giving me better results. It doesn't matter if it's dummy, it is Gate of Infinity, if it is a secret dungeon, it doesn't matter. It's always better for me. I have tried in different ways. I mean, for example, when you use the specialization to make the lock time faster when you are on Whirlpool, normally you will want to spam Nether's Blessings and then fully load the decisive sniping. Okay, I have tried with that. I have also tried with, instead of fully loading, just tapping it once to get this critical boost, but I mean, it's the same. I mean, just doing this and then continue with all the normal rotation. For me, it's the same. It's always slower than when using a skill bar like this one or this one. I mean, normally what I do is just I always lock the target, because for brutal arrow it's better to lock the target, and just buff, and now spam skills. This is what I'm usually doing. Use a snaring arrow as soon as it's ready, Just keep spamming the skills all the time. This is what I do. And this is the way I have gotten the best times in Gate of Infinity as well. So I know some people prefer to use decisive sniping, but as I said, for me it doesn't seem to work, because as I was saying, what I usually do is like this. Let me lock. And then I continue spamming skills until decisive sniping is ready and natural blessings is ready as well, because I don't want to lose time there. Like now I use it again. I forgot to use a snaring arrow now, but this is what I'm usually doing. But as I say, normally with the other skill bar, which is this one for example, or this one, is usually 5 to 10 to 15 seconds faster. So I prefer to keep using this one. So this is about the changes that we got last week. As a summary, steady aim is a must. You should use it because the critical damage boost is significant. I mean, you cannot test this with dummies, because dummies don't get oppressed, that get the bind effect. But you can do solo dungeons, or you can do Gate of Infinity, and you will see how your damage is much better. So you should use that. If you want to min-max between the mastery and the snaring arrow, just pay attention to that. As I said, I really don't care about that, because you will need to attack and pay attention for the bind. See here, for example, I don't want to be doing that when you are spamming a lot of skill. That's why I always spamming just a snaring arrow, and that's it. And for the critical, as I explained in other videos, the extra damage in brutal arrow for me it's irrelevant, because I use brutal arrow for the Gale area specialization, just to continue applying Gale, while I also use strafing and to explode the Gale with Zephyr. So I don't really care about that extra damage boost, which for me is not really that much. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about: Malakar, Lucien or Bellandir. So for PVE, Bellandir is the best. There is no question on this. I mean, if you have all these crossbows, you can test them, and you will see that Bellandir is much better. And I don't even have the upgraded Bellandir yet. I'm a long while for that, because I have like 20 fragments or something like that. But it's much better. Why? Because it's not about the damage, I think, poison damage, but about the fact that as we apply the poison, a weaken, we are benefiting from self-life diffusion to lower the CD of all the other skills. So that's why Bellandir is giving me much better results than the others. However, as I said, for PvE, Bellandir was my choice. But for PvP, I thought that Malakar was going to be a better bow, okay? A better crossbow. I got Malakar on Friday from my guild raids, and I fully traded it and all on everything. And I have been trying that. And you know what? Malakar is not better than Lucien. I thought it was going to be better because it has higher and significant higher base damage. Look at that, 26 difference. It also has a lot more cooldown speed because it has the cooldown speed trait. So that's why I thought it was going to be better. What's the problem here? The problem here is that I don't really care about the base damage of the crossbow. The crossbow is just an utility weapon because my damage comes from the bow, from strafing into zephyr most of the time. That's what's doing a lot of damage for me. And this attack speed difference between Lucien and Malakar is pretty significant. First, look at Lucien. It has a lower base attack speed, 0.475, 475. Meanwhile, Malakar has 0.55. So we start with a significant difference between both. But then Lucien also has attack speed as stat and also as a trait. I'm not using the trait right now, but also as a trait. And this is giving me more benefit than the extra cooldown speed I'm getting with Malakar. So if you are wondering if whether Malakar or Lucien is better for PvP, it's Lucien. I mean, forget about the skill because the skill is useful when you are building bonus damage. But if you are building crit, this extra shot 30%, 35% is nothing. Yes, it's another hit, but it's not like when you have 300, 320 bonus damage, that it doesn't matter how low is that additional projectile because you are getting the extra bonus damage added to that. So, even ignoring the fact about the skill, Lucien is still much better than Malakar. So, what I'm doing then with Malakar, because Malakar is very useful. I'm using it for raids and for co-op dungeons and for trails. I'm not using it for PVE bosses because I want to boost my individual contribution. That's why I'm using Bellandir. I want to have the most possible damage I can deal. But when I'm playing with a party where my individual contribution doesn't matter, I prefer to use it Malakar. In fact, I have it here. I prefer to use it this way because I'm boosting the damage of all the party, not just myself. And also, as I have more cooldown speed, I can apply mark more often, which is actually very good when you are in these scenarios, raids and trials. So this is it for the video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.